This is Bronson, and you're listening to A Shot of Wrestling.
Are you ready?
Is that the message you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? From the fans to the fans, let me hear the crowd pop. So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? We about to go live. Are you ready to rock? So take a shot, boy. Is that the message you got? From the fans to the fans, let me hear the crowd pop. So take a shot. Oh yeah. So take a shot. Oh, so take a shot. Oh, so take a shot.
All right, everybody, if you're ready and willing, I'm able, and welcome to another exciting edition of A Shot of Wrestling, the interviews. If you've not done so already, follow us on all forms of social media at A Shot of Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, and Shot of Wrestling, no A, on Twitter. You can also contact us via email at inbox@ashotofwrestling.com or dial it up 619-343-3005 and leave your comments on the Shot of Wrestling hotline. And we say it time and time again that wrestling brings us together, and today is no different. Today, we are joined by one half of Bear Country, Bear Bronson. Welcome to A Shot of Wrestling.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm real happy to be here.
Brother, it is a pleasure. Your career is inspiring. You've done so much in such a small amount of time, and thank you just for giving us the time to really just like go through it.
Sure, man. Thank you. Thank you for thank you for those words. I appreciate that.
Before you got into the business, though, what was your life like?
You know what? I got into it pretty young. I started wrestling school when I was, I believe, 18. Yeah, about 18 years old. So, I was basically coming right out of high school. And I went to Hofstra University, and I tried to balance both. Was studying communications, and
big party school, by the way, right?
Oh yeah, kind of. Yeah, a little bit. My younger brother goes to Marist, and that is way more of a party school by like leaps and bounds. But I got to experience that, which is pretty cool. Just him being there and visiting him. But pretty fun. But I tried to balance both. Like learning, in Creative Pro Wrestling Academy and going to school at the same time. And then I believe I was there for 2 years and once I felt I couldn't balance both, I looked and said, well, I'm not about to give up wrestling for the other, so I'm going to put college on hold for now. And I really truthfully, I've never looked back.
Wow.
Maybe one day, maybe, you never know what tomorrow brings. So, maybe, but right now I've never, ever looked back, so.
I was going to say, people who are starting their professional career also and going to college as pro wrestlers usually have the degree to fall back on. Do you feel nervous in knowing that all your chips are in one basket?
No, I thought I would. When you're just learning as a wrestler and you don't know what success you'll bring, you don't even know if you will succeed. So in the beginning, I was always in the back of my head, like, what if this doesn't work? What if I don't know, break my legs tomorrow? Whatever. But I kind of just said I took a bet on myself.
Starting wrestling early, 18 years old, the rest of your future ahead of you. What are your parents thinking when you say, college is going to be my B plan? I'm going to set it aside. Wrestling is my A plan all the way.
Man, out of everybody I know, and I look at their experiences, I have a very particular situation. My parents were 100% supportive from the very start.
That's awesome.
And I'm very lucky and very thankful for that, because I look and some other people aren't so lucky. Some people have some pretty sticky situations.
Are your parents wrestling fans?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So my grandma actually was a huge Hogan and Ultimate Warrior mark. It kind of started there, and then my dad was a fan, and my older brother, he was a teen, in the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody, like him, my older cousins, I was always around it, and I believe wrestling's been in my earliest memories. I can't really remember. I don't remember what like the first match I watched was. I really couldn't tell you.
Okay.
It was probably around. I mean, I was born in '95, so I'm around it. 96, 97, 98. It's like ingrained in my formation of my mind, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's.
You grew up with some of the greats.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite of all time is probably Stone Cold Steve Austin. So yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
When you are starting to build your career as a professional wrestler and you're trying to determine who you are, do you start taking influences from some of those greats, like some of the people that inspired you when you were so young?
Absolutely. I take a lot of inspiration from everywhere. The bear thing specifically comes from my mom, actually.
Really?
My mom's always, from the time I was little, has always called me Bear. Rarely ever Joe, which is what, everyone else called me,
Mm-hmm.
my whole childhood and everything. But that is where, the bear thing came from. Because, I was always a stocky kid, always, I was never, I was pretty unique like that. So coming up, that name stuck with me. And when you're trying to figure out who you are as a wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
It could be pretty hard to find your identity. And sometimes you don't even know that it's staring you in the face. They also say the best gimmicks are who you are turned up to 11.
Right.
And, the bear thing, it's just always been true to me. It's just kind of like a spirit animal sort of thing. And, as far as outside influences, I'd say I take the most outside influences from guys like Kevin Owens,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Steen in particular, because, I watch him all throughout high school and just being older as a fan, my favorite of all time is Stone Cold Steve Austin, but that's more of like the fan in me.
Right.
I don't take much out of like the gimmick aspect or in-ring aspect. That's really just me being a fan. The outside influences, I'd say the most two are Kevin Owens and actually Dean Ambrose or John Moxley.
Yeah. Now, so you've been in the business. I'm sure you've come across these individuals. Have you?
You know what? I really haven't. I mean, maybe Kevin Owens in like passing as like an extra,
Mm-hmm.
but no, not really at all.
Do you know if you had a
Yes.
conversation with one of them? Do you know what you would say?
Actually, when you just said that now, it reminded me that I did a meet and greet when I was in high school. I did a meet and greet with Dean Ambrose.
Oh, really?
And I told him that I was gonna go in a few months to wrestling school, and I said that he was my main inspiration.
Wow.
And he thought it was really cool, and that's he would never remember it because that guy's probably done 100,000 meet and greets of people saying the same thing over and over. But I thought it was important at the time to tell him that. But professionally, I've never crossed paths with him. If I were to right now, whether it be Kevin Owens, Stone, whoever, I'd probably just let them know. I think it's cool to tell people that you're the reason you're doing what you're doing, or.
That's huge.
I mean, if the day ever came where somebody told me that, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably just melt into a bottle, probably.
Well, I think you're definitely going to be, you already are, in my opinion, influencing a lot of the independent fans who look up to you, or because you are a bigger guy, but you move very agilely in the ring. You show a lot of power also, and it's very impressive. So for someone, like, for example, when I look at professional wrestlers, just because of my body type, I'm a bigger, huskier guy, I identify more with like Kevin Owens, with you, and like, hey, like these guys, are following their dream and making it possible to say, hey, what if I wanted to do that? You're trailblazing it for guys, at least in that line.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and it actually, I think those guys, Owens and Dean Ambrose, these guys, they made me in my mind say like, oh, I think I could do this then.
Right.
So I agree.
When we started our conversation, you mentioned, you started your career in pro wrestling by going to Create a Pro. And mostly anytime someone wants to start a professional wrestling career, I think a lot of advice that gets handed down is like, find a good school. I think you found one of the best schools in our area. In Long Island, New York, Create a Pro has been, if you look at the people who are making it big in the business and making a big impact, a lot of it comes from that school. What is it that makes Create a Pro Wrestling different than any other school in our area?
Man, it's becoming undeniable to people. We've always known as, the first crop of students, me, MJF, Chris Stat, these Max Caster, these people, we always knew the quality that was given to us, and we knew that we were lucky for like being this first crop of, you know, talent to come out of the school. But now that people are seeing how undeniable the training is and how these people are coming out of it that are, you know, I mean, like if you just look at the two names that I think of the most are MJF right now and Chris Statlander. I mean, those are two legitimate stars, and they're going to be bigger than they are right now, which is very weird. It's weird to say because they're already blowing up like crazy.
Yeah.
But they are going to really have their own mark on professional wrestling and the history of professional wrestling. So I think, you know what? I don't know, man. If you go to the school, if you ever get a chance to visit the school, you'll see that it's very raw. All it is, it's just a ring in a garage. It's a big storage unit with a little office. You know, it's decorated nicely because if you ever meet Kurt Hawkins, you'll know that he's just as much of a fan as anybody else. He doesn't hide that. He never has been one to hide that, and he encourages that. But if you really look at the base of it, it's very raw. All it is just a ring in a garage storage unit. So it's that, and you just have two head trainers who have done everything you can do in professional wrestling, whether, you know, between Hawkins and Pat Buck, and then the minds there that are all like, you know, they're all like-minded. So people like Alex Reynolds, always there when I was there, people like VSK, people, you know, you have all these, it is like, Creative Pro is like a big fountain of knowledge that even, you know, to be honest, it sounds pretty bad to say, but it's very true. We've taken some students that maybe aren't the best suited for professional wrestling, and we've turned them into wrestlers, to good wrestlers. And, you know, like there have been some that haven't lasted, but you know what? I consider it like a gift being there. If I didn't go to Creative Pro Wrestling, I wouldn't be who I am.
What made you decide that was the school you wanted to go to?
You know what? When I was in high school, I actually went to NYWC first, which is in Deer Park, New York. And when I went there, you know what? It was great. I was having fun. I met a lot of the people that I'm friends with today, like Alex Reynolds, like Milk Chocolate, like these people. But I couldn't do that in high school at the same time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to finish high school. And then I actually planned on going back there. But when I finished high school, I graduated, I looked and said, let me just see. I forgot how I came across, I think it was on the internet, just seeing how Creative Pro just opened up in March, because I started in July and it opened up in March. So I was like, you know what, let me go check it out. Let me just, you know, just to weigh all my options. And when I went there and met everybody who was just starting, I think that day I met Kurt Hawkins, and I just felt like it was right. I was like, I signed up on the spot, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, no, I think this is, you know, NYWC is great. I'm friends with everyone there. It's a great school. But I just at the time felt like that was right for me. And everybody there who's still there, we're, you know, best friends. So it was kind of meant to be.
You mentioned that, you know, Bear came from your mother and, you know, how you evolved to who you are today. But you didn't start as Bear. You started as Joe. What has been the evolution from yourself from the first time you were stepping into a ring to where you are now? What are some of the things that you've really paid attention to create the person we see today?
You know, I found that I really did not know who I was at all. I knew I had many idols. I knew that I was right for it. I knew that I could do it. It was just a matter of how I wanted to do it, and got in good ring shape, but not good physical shape. Like I wasn't like anything. I was very just blah. So I really just didn't know who I wanted to be. I didn't, you know, so I found that one of the methods, that, you know, many will say maybe it was a good idea, and many people out there may not think it's a good idea, but I felt it was right for me. And that was to model myself after somebody. So if you look at the first few matches I've had, it's basically just, I like to call it like dollar store Kevin Steen. If you look at like pictures, you'll find like I have a, you know, short crew cut hair that I've always had my whole life. I had a cut off muscle t-shirt with a singlet under it, and I looked like a dollar store Kevin Owens or real like early days Kevin Steen.
Yeah.
And you know what? Just not like, it was basically like a ripoff, but it helped me. If, you know, sometimes imitation can be a good way to just learn and get comfortable, because that's a lot of, you know, if you're a rookie in wrestling and you're listening to this, a lot of it is just getting comfortable, and you're just trying to figure things out in the ring that you can't learn in training. a lot of the stuff you'll learn in front of a crowd and how you interact with like the live environment. So that was a lot of it for me. And then I believe I later evolved to black trunks with a gray T-shirt, sort of like a Dan Severn sort of look.
Okay.
Just to experiment. And I believe it was around that time I was getting into better shape, and Kurt Hawkins told me, he was like, hey, what do you think of growing out your hair? And I said, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea. I've never grown out my hair. Like, I've always been a crew cut sort of kid my whole life. And he was like, oh, well, if you can grow out your hair, it might be a good idea, because long hair sometimes adds character to people, and it's good for selling. If you get punched and your hair whips, sometimes it's great. You never know. So he's like, you should just try it. And then I ended up doing that, and now I can't even imagine myself with short hair. So
how did you get through the phase of like the ugly hair? I've always thought of growing my hair, brutal. But then there's that like part where it's just like, I just want to shave my head.
It is the worst thing in the world. Brutal. I think I probably just hid my hair most of the time with like hats and stuff, beanies and whatnot, but brutal, middle stage, growing it out sort of thing, just so bad.
I'm a very impatient man. I don't think I could ever grow out my hair.
You know what? I said the same thing, but here I am, So there was that, and then once I was getting into better shape, Hawkins suggested to me, he's like, now that you're getting into better, a little bit better shape and you're leaning out a bit, he's like, you should look into, probably like a singlet or something, experiment with different things. Yeah. So I think that, and then that's when I got my first singlet it was a black singlet with a bear on it. And then it kind of just evolved from there.
You know what I find interesting about the conversation that you're explaining between you and Hawkins is, well, from at least your story, it doesn't feel like he's forcing something on you. It doesn't feel like he's kind of just giving you a suggestion, planting a seed in a way, and letting you kind of figure it out on your own.
Oh, yeah. No, that's 100% what it is. He's been around the best minds of the business, and he's been around from a very young age. He was signed when he was 20, I think. So, like since then, there's a lot of things that he knows, and that he has a lot of wisdom. So if he feels that he should suggest something, he's not going to force anything on anybody, because we're all our own person, but he, will tell you if he has an instinct about something. So even if it's just little things like your hair or, whatever, he'll let you know. He'll just say, hey,
what do you think
cool,
of this? Yeah, it is cool.
He never imposes anything on anybody.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, no, it's very, very, very cool. Very easy.
So where do you go from singles competitor to now being part of a tag team, and probably one of the most recognizable tag teams in our area? I would say probably one of the, not just most recognizable, but really like people would want to go see you guys, like a tag team that draws people to an event.
So you know what? The origin story of Bear Country is very muddy, very or patchy, I should say, because when we formed, it was really with WrestlePro, Beefcake not having a real spot. He was in between things because he was with Beefcake was always a comedy wrestler before he started with Bear Country, and that's why actually a lot of people had their doubts with him being in the team. Mm-hmm. But with that said, he was in between teams. His teammates, I know, were kind of falling out of wrestling or whatnot, and he was kind of in between stuff. And he knew that I was picking up steam with wrestling, but nothing like monumental, not at like like an MJF level, or just like, because I don't think anybody's picked up steam faster than
I was
MJF,
just going to say that. That's
so if I was going to use a stick, a measuring stick of like, nothing crazy. I was trying to just travel and do what I can to get noticed or whatever. And he called me one day and he was like, hey, what do you think of like us both being bears and being a tag team? And I was like, he was like, maybe WrestlePro would be interested. And I was open to it. I was like, yeah, man, I'm sure. Why not? Why not? The worst thing that can happen is it sucks when we don't do it, So, when we started, it was actually Pat Buck who gave us, we didn't have a good name. We didn't really have any name for our team starting with WrestlePro. So it was very raw at the time. We had different gear. We didn't have matching gear at all. And he came up with the name Bear Country, Pat Buck. So credit that to him. But other than that, when we were started with WrestlePro, Beef was going through different things at the time, and we were, we couldn't really solidify it very well. So we did maybe a show or two, and I actually went back to doing singles. And he had some stuff in his personal life that he had to sort out, and he was kind of taking a second to, he couldn't be fully committed at the time. So we were like, all right, it's not like I stopped cold turkey with my singles career anyway.
Okay.
So, that's when I ended up having the feud with Dan Moff and having like a whole, I had a pretty good year that year.
Yeah, what a story you guys put out there.
Yeah, so, it was really not until the next following year, I want to say, probably the next following year, I want to say, is when we started, I forgot even how, but we ended up going to visit Chaotic Wrestling up in New England. And we went together, and they needed a team. So when we went, they were like, hey, are you guys free this date? And we were like, yeah, absolutely. And we started as a team. And we debuted at Chaotic with different gear. We didn't have matching gear. We looked completely different. It was very little amateur. But we debuted there against Mainstay Posse. It was our first match with them out of many. Yeah, and then from there, they liked what they saw, and they were like, hey, they were like, you guys got something here, so we're gonna keep this going for a bit. And then once things were progressing there, we're like, you know what, let's try to. We think we can sink our teeth into this. So that's when we ended up getting matching gear. Then 2019 came along, and that's really where things changed.
So let's talk a little bit about 2019 as we're wrapping up the year. What a year you guys have had. I mean,
it's crazy. It's really crazy.
I mean, a lot of it due to the success of Uncharted Territory. Everybody's been hooked on it. A lot of great storytelling that's going on in that show. But even like just this past weekend, tell us a little bit about that, because it was exhausting a little bit to hear everything you just went through, but it's great that you're getting these kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, so fast forward through 2019, I actually just celebrated my day. I celebrated Thanksgiving with my family yesterday as opposed to Thursday like the rest of the world, because Beyond Wrestling ran Uncharted Territory on Thanksgiving. We had a Thanksgiving special episode, so that was pretty crazy. Ended up having a crazy turnout, great crowd, and that really started off the crazy weekend that we had. Because straight from there, right from there in Worcester, Massachusetts, we hopped in the car and went straight to Canada, Ottawa, Ontario for
Wild.
C4, C4 Wrestling. And that's where we wrestled. We wrestled the Dark Order, and we had probably one of the best matches we've had yet. It was a banger. Like, we had a lot of fun.
Wow.
A lot of fun. And then from there, as soon as we were done, we ate with some of the Buffalo Boys, who are good brothers. Love them to death. And we went straight to South Jersey for CZW.
And you just tore apart Gabriel Sky.
Yeah, you know what? Like, out of storyline, kayfabe's dead anyway. So, but we were really looking forward to that match with Gabe Sky and Tristan Ty. But with Tristan's injury, it's really untimely. Came at a really, it was really unfortunate. So
I'm sure this won't be the only opportunity you guys have to get into the ring together. I definitely would see that again in the future.
Yeah, no, I believe when he comes, he'll be back strong and he'll be back good, and we can have that match that, really all four of us were really looking forward to. So, and it'll be great because I think all four of us are really climbing good ranks in wrestling right now. So
one of the things I enjoy the most, maybe just because it's the kind of guy I am, I love road trips. Do you enjoy driving? Do you like sharing the responsibility? What do you guys listen to when you're in the car? Do you have any like road trip snacks that you carry on with you?
You know what? Road trips are funny, because me and Beef we always make we can make good out of anything that's bad, so there are a lot of people in wrestling that hate the road, and it can be really unforgiving at times, but I believe that we make the best out of it. We make it very fun. Whoever's in the car with us is usually having a great time. We don't really listen to things too much. When, if I'm tired and I'm sleeping and it's like 4 a.m. or whatever, Beef will, to stay awake, he'll turn on like Jim Cornette's podcast or whatever. Or, I don't know if he'll
keep you awake.
Usually I'm still asleep, but he would listen to that or Vince Russo or Pritchard or anything really. Mm-hmm. But it's really just usually us just talking and shooting the shooting from the I just didn't want to curse on you.
It's quite all right.
Sure, cool.
But that's how you get to know each other. You know, do you guys go through your matches? Like, do you already have things planned on? Because you guys are big in about like putting these big muscle spots out there. Like the things I've seen. You recently posted a like the best of 2019 with you guys, and a lot of it was just so many memorable moments that you guys put together in a ring. Do you guys talk about like how can we top that next?
You know what? It's really just what we're feeling. We don't talk too much in the car about, you know, if we do have an idea that we thought of like early in the day or whatever, like we'll mention it, but we don't talk too much about what we're going to do. Because once, you know, and that's actually a common thing because, you know, it's kind of hard to think about stuff until you're actually there and you're, you know, before the doors open, you're walking around a ring and you can think about what, you know, you can think about things better. And it's just kind of better sometimes to not stress yourself out before you're in the work environment. So a lot of it, to be honest, a lot of it's kind of just feeling what we're feeling. As far as like, thank you for watching that video. I worked really hard on it. So thank you for watching that. Yeah, I was trying to push that as much as I could because I always loved watching stuff like that in high school, compilation videos, MVs, all that stuff. So I wanted to really just throw everything together, but a lot of that was all experimentation throughout the last year or two, you know, with whether it was Beyond or Chaotic or things like that. And that was a lot of beefcake finding, you know, if you watch that video, I mean, at least half of it is showcases his strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what though? A lot of it's stuff that I don't think he really knew he had in him.
Wow.
If we're being honest here, and I say this with full confidence, I think he is absolutely the strongest person I know. And I think it's just because people don't realize it yet, and I think they soon will. I believe he's up there with the Jeff Cobbs and the Brian Cages, and I believe he is unreal strength.
Put him together against Braun Strowman.
I would absolutely. I don't care. I'll say it. Like I believe he is up there with the strongest people in wrestling. He has unbelievable strength, and you'll see like. Even if a spot doesn't look pretty, I've seen like people mess up or whatever, and I'll see him muscle through the worst of situations.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. He's really he's got crazy raw strength. And, you know, everything else was just, you know, finding our chemistry came pretty quick, but experimenting with that chemistry really was just trial and error. We just see things. If there's something that doesn't work, we can it. If something's good, it sticks, you know? Just kind of not being afraid to jump in those waters, you know.
Outside of wrestling, what else do you guys gel with? What else do you guys have in common?
I would say anything movie or TV quotes. If you look at our, you know, if we're bored in a car, I'll usually post. If not, you know, I'll probably after this interview, I'll probably send them to you just to pop you, you know. But we're absolutely people get in a car with us and they don't know what to expect, and they'll see that we're certifiably insane when it comes to, you know, we usually most of the time quote SpongeBob just because he has a really, really good memory when it comes to that stuff.
Wow.
So, or like we were just quoting, what were we just quoting? I think School of Rock. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Like he's really, Beef is really good at impressions.
I love that.
You know, Jim Carrey quotes and stuff like, Ace Ventura we were doing the other day. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Real funny stuff.
So we're talking a lot about your tag team partner here. What would you say is something about you that someone would be like, oh, that is so Bear Bronson?
You know what? I feel like after we're done with this interview, I'm probably going to be like, oh, damn, I should have said that. Now I can't think of what. It's probably I'm very much a fan of wrestling. Mm-hmm. And it's usually all I ever talk about. So, and to a point where people even joke about it. You know what I mean? So it's like I often say I'm unhealthily obsessed. But you know what?
Let's feed the obsession a little bit more. Let's talk about the current state of professional wrestling with AEW and WWE. So I'm gonna ask you. You know, you're in the mix with two great trainers and coaches who are in the WWE. Does your track to go, you know, going straight into the WWE, or now is it open to being in AEW?
You know what? I think the best thing about wrestling right now is the opportunity, and I think many others will say the same. You know, regardless of what you think, you know, some people think it's not in the greatest state, some people think it is. Regardless, for wrestlers, there is more opportunity than ever. And that's all I care about, because I want to make this my main job. I want to make, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to make a living in wrestling, and I want it to be everything. I want to do this every single day. I already am basically, I'm close, you know, 4 out of the 7 days a week. I'm getting there. But, you know, to make this, I think it's a better time than ever with, you know, the amount of companies that are out there and getting bigger and bigger. And, you know, with AEW, you know, I would, hey, man, I would love it.
And you grew up as a WWF, WWE fan, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about the product today in the WWE?
You know what? I always look at the good and everything. So even if a lot of people right now, I don't think it's a secret, a lot of people right now are not in favor of it.
Right.
It's exciting to me.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you see it differently since you're a wrestler? You're in the business. When you look at Raw or SmackDown, are you seeing it with different eyes, or do you still remember, like, I'm just gonna lay back, grab a beer, and just watch Raw? You know, just like as a fan.
I think I'm different than a lot of people. I still watch very much as a fan.
That's
so
cool.
Like, even if did you watch TakeOver War Games?
Yeah, amazing.
I was.
Hey, man.
When Kevin Owens was the surprise entrant, I was having a heart attack. Yeah, so, you know, like, I'm while every other wrestler was probably like, oh, wow, that's cool, you know, I was having a heart attack. I don't care. You know what? I think that just comes from probably who I was trained by, you know, because Kurt Hawkins he's there. He's literally there, and he's a huge fan. He's always encouraged it to us, never stop being a fan.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm very proud of that.
I think if there's anything I am taking away from this interview, and, you know, we've talked to a lot of people in the business now, but you're the first one to really say, you know, above all, I'm still a fan. And that's great, because if it's something that you're passionate about, if it's something that you're making a living out, like, I still would love to think that the wrestlers out there are still watching the wrestling, you know, not just being part of it, but like really just in being entertained by it. You know, like one of the moments that stick out to my mind, like WrestleMania in AT&T Center, in Texas, right?
Right.
I remember going to that Mania, and this was before Bayley, you know, was big in who she is now, but she was like in the crowd, not the hard cam, but she was just like watching, and then Stone Cold's music hit, and I remember just watching, and next thing I know, I'm like, holy shit, it's Bayley. And then she popped like a fan, like everybody else in the arena, and she was like, oh my God, it's so cool. And like, we just had this moment, and I'm like, yo, like, I really want everybody to still feel that, you know?
Yeah, you know what, I feel the same way. And you know, there's a lot of, when you're in wrestling, you'll meet a lot of different people. Unfortunately, you know, there are people that don't feel that way. And, you know, that's fine too. There are a lot of people that look at it solely as a business and what they can get out of it. And that's great. You know what? Everyone's different. I truly believe if I wasn't the way I am, if I wasn't a fan anymore, if I was doing this for other reasons, I would have to quit tomorrow. A lot of what keeps me going through even the hardest times is how much I love it and how much I love being a fan. And if that love was ever lost, I would have to find something else that makes me happy. There are times, you know, and I don't like to get too opinionated, but there are a lot of times I sit and ask myself, I'll look at other people that I know personally, and I wish I'll always keep to myself. I'll never inject myself into anybody else's, you know, opinions or, you know, stuff like that, because I personally don't like when people do that to me. Mm-hmm. But I'll look a lot and I'll say, sometimes I want to say to them, why do you invest so much in something that makes you unhappy? Why do you do something? Why are you doing this if it makes you so unhappy, if you complain every single day about it? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Facts. I don't get it. It's just something I'll never understand. If there comes a day where I'm complaining more than loving it, I'll have to quit the next day. I don't care. You know what I mean? And
it's not just in wrestling. I think it's in any job. You know,
absolutely.
If there's something you hate so much, because I've been there. You know, there've been companies that I've worked for before that I'm just like, I do not enjoy going to work. Like, this is not for me.
Right.
You know, and I change it. You know.
Right. And the thing is with wrestling is unless you're in a company or you're signed to a major deal, you're not killing it running to the bank. So I don't know why you do something that requires so much sacrifice if it makes you so miserable. Because listen, I love wrestling. I love it more than anything in the world. But there's no denying that the sacrifice that comes with it. I miss every birthday. I miss weddings. I miss funerals. It was definitely a cause in having a failed relationship. There's a lot that I've been through in my life with wrestling just in the past year alone in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
But I love wrestling that much.
And wrestling will be good to you too, brother.
Thank you.
If you love it that much. What do you think it's going to take? What kind of person do you think you need to find love again? Like, is there anything you would have done different in your previous relationship?
No, you know what? I believe everything happens for a reason. I'm a sole believer in that. It's definitely one of the things I live by. So there's a lot of, I believe people live through serious trials and tribulations it's all learning. It's all a learning experience. I grow and I learn every single day. I learn something new, whether it's good or bad, because life isn't just, roses and rose petals. It's there's a lot of good. There's a lot of crappy things that you kind of just have to look and find the positives. What
has been your hardest lesson learned in wrestling?
Hardest lesson learned is you're never going to make everybody happy. No matter what you do, somebody's always. It doesn't matter how good of a person you can be. Doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're the living personification of an angel. You will always have people that'll have something bad to say about you. And I think learning that was something that seriously bothered me.
Especially when you give so much of yourself to the sport,
Yeah, absolutely. And there's countless people that I've overcome. I have doubters that are now my friends, It's just overcoming those things. And you'll find that, it'll really bother you. Everybody wants to think they have thick skin, but to be honest, I don't have the thickest skin. I have thin skin sometimes. And, sometimes some people can say the littlest things and it'll hurt, But in wrestling, you just have to learn that if you really bet on yourself, you'll show people that the truth is different.
And in the world of today with social media, where anybody could criticize, whether it be a match, the way someone looks, and be so instant, what are your critics saying about you right now?
You know what? That's actually kind of hard because right now, and this could change any day, it's actually changed a lot over the past year. I feel like any critics Beef and I have had, we've actually changed their minds. Because I remember early, so we had our big breakout part of the year with Beyond, and I would say in the mid part of the year we had people that were like, oh, they're just another Heavy Machinery or
right.
War Raiders or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But those same people have actually looked, and the more they see we have more fans now than ever. I'd say more than the summer for sure because people look and they learn when they watch us like. We're very different. We have a very different dynamic. One of the best things I like about us is that I'm not like Beef at all. Beef is this big, he's trying to, he wants to be known now as Bear Boulder because that's what he's a big boulder of a human. Yeah. I'm not really, if you look, I'm not that, I'm a thick person. I'm a thicker, but I'm not that big. And I know that. I'm very self-aware about that, and I think that's cool. I think that makes us different. I don't think people want to see two of the same thing. No knock on anybody, but that's one of the things I love about the War Raiders. Those two guys are totally different. I think that's cooler in a tag team than a tag team both looking like the same exact person.
And I think in this past year, you guys working together, there's been a lot of great accomplishments. What has meant the most to you?
Oof. A couple different things, I'd say. Meant the most to us, definitely working with LAX at American Rana this past July. Being able to hang with one of the greatest tag teams in the world and gaining their confidence and them saying you guys absolutely have what it takes. Wow. That meant the world to us.
Wow.
It really does. And that was definitely, I'd say, the top thing. Other than that, honestly, even just working with the Dark Order this weekend was a team that's on TV getting pushed right now, and being able to go in there and just have a fun time with them. Not even people throw ratings and everything aside. Who cares? We had fun, man. We had a lot of fun. And just having that experience was it was great. And you know what? I'd say everything that's gone on with Beyond right now, Beyond Wrestling, I credit a lot to them. They've changed our whole career.
Looking into the future now, what do you see as we wrap up 2019? What do you see coming up in 2020 that you're excited about?
You know what? I would think guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed in wrestling, but if I did have to guarantee something, it would be expansion. And when I say expansion, I mean like world expansion. So, a lot of people ask us like, oh, you ever hear about, has any companies ever reached out to you guys, anything like that? And the answer is no. But we're not in a rush, man. Like we don't, Beef's almost 30. He's turning 30 in May, but that's fine. I just turned 24. Mm-hmm. Both of us right now, we're just riding right now this momentum, and we're just having fun with it. Everything that comes our way, we're looking at as a learning experience and a way for us to grow. We don't want to jump into anything too fast. We have a lot of personal goals. We would love to go to Japan. We would love to go to Europe. We'd love to go to Germany. Like a lot of things that people in wrestling dream of doing. You know what I mean? So I know a lot of people we're watching people in the independents get picked up left and right.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'm not sweating over it. I want to see my friends succeed. That's great. I think Kristen Statlander, she deserved a contract yesterday. She deserved a contract a few months ago. God damn. That is undeniable. No one can deny that. And if you do, you better have some serious reasoning. But everybody in wrestling, it's a fact. Everyone has their own journeys. And I just want to be able to leave a legacy behind. If I never went to WWE, if I never went to AEW, if anything, I may never, and that's fine. I want to leave something behind that maybe somebody that's in high school or younger, somebody could maybe look up on the internet and go like, oh, those guys did some really cool things. I don't know, because that's what I did, and I think that'd be really, really cool. But we have a lot of personal little goals. Another one of them is WrestleMania weekend, man. Like I've never done anything WrestleMania weekend. Last year. I think we did one or two things in the same building in one day. It's like nothing. To me, I looked at that. It made me hungry. I was like, you know what? Like, especially blowing up this year with, Beyond and everything, I looked and I'm like, I wanted to do a complete 180. Like, I want to be booked every day, every time slot I can.
What are the companies you want to work at? Where are some of the companies like right now, realistically, that you're like, that's somewhere I want to go. That's somewhere I want to go. Like, let's make that happen.
Like on the independent level?
Yeah, on the independent level.
You know what? That list is getting smaller and smaller, and I'm very proud of that. I would say like a month or two ago, the companies like C4 and AIW, companies like that were on my list, and now they're off the list because we're there. We're going back there and we're being brought back. Like those are two places that we were received well, and I'm very proud of that. Like it's very humbling to me, and I'm hungry for that. I would say right now, I definitely say GCW. Because when I look at places that a lot of people look at places differently than I do. Everyone's like, oh, what has the most buzz, whatever. Mm-hmm. That GCW looks like the most fun to me. Like I feel that's very not popular. A lot of places people are just looking at what benefits them and what can I get out of that and how can that benefit me. I'm looking like I would go there and have a freaking blast.
Who would you want to face at GCW?
Oh man. Probably Bear Country versus. You know, it's hard because they don't have any tag teams there. I would say I don't think they have any. I know they're tag team. They do have tag team champions, but they're from I think they're from Mexico or something.
Yeah, I think you would have to. I would have to probably mix up a few single competitors.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I love being in the ring with Nick Gage,
so
maybe Nick Gage and I don't know anybody. Everyone there is a crazy bastard. So.
Nick Gage and Schlack versus
Bear man. Country. I love Schlack.
that would be the match.
Then we would, and I would do it. And I don't care. I have no issues with saying that. I would love to do death matches. So I think that would be just a lot. It just looks like fun to me.
Really? Have you done one at all?
I've done hardcore stuff here and there. I've done barbed wire, I've done tacks, I've done something. I've never done glass, but the old deathmatch mark in me wants to do it. I can't really explain why, but I'm not a regular thing because me and Beef. I don't think tag team deathmatch wrestlers are really a thing, but
it could be a thing.
It be a thing. Hey, man, we want to be anything we can be.
Yeah, I love it.
I look at everything as a privilege. So, if there was a spot, there was an opportunity there, I would absolutely dig it. But they're doing great things right now, and they don't need us. So they're doing great. They're doing great things right now, and I love watching people succeed. So,
bro,
I have a lot of friends there that are doing great, and I love seeing that. So
it's been such a privilege to talk to you tonight. I love your positive energy.
Thank you, man.
Congratulations on all the success recently in 2019. I think with the type of mentality and the way you see your career going, I only see better things in 2020 for you guys. If we wanted to follow this journey into 2020 and beyond, where could we do that? Let us know where we could follow you on social media.
So, well, thank you very much, by the way. I can't tell you how appreciative I am. I could talk all day about wrestling, and, all things like that. So I'd love to be on again in the future.
I think it's not going to be the last time you and I are going to talk about wrestling. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be.
It was
definitely
so
shouldn't be, because I could go on forever. But funny story about the social media. So my Twitter @name is Bear Bronson BC, capital BC, Bear Bronson BC, and that's because this year I was actually banned on Twitter.
What?
I was banned on Twitter.
What the heck did you do?
So I posted a video of me powerbombing Kobe Durst out of the ring.
Oh, okay.
And a funny story about that is I asked MJF, because he's a professional at Twitter, if you couldn't tell. And I asked him, I was like, what should I say here? What caption should I put? And he said, right, I'll kill it, because I powerbombed Kobe Durst, and we both fell out of the ring, both fell on our heads. It was very dangerous, not proud of it. It sucked, but it was a pretty cool clip, so I posted it. And I said, I'll kill myself to kill you.
Whew.
And people thought it was cool. It got a lot of likes, whatever. It was received well. And then Twitter took it down and said, because they literally thought I was saying, I'll kill myself to kill you. So everybody took it well except for Twitter. And I was trying to make new @names, and it wouldn't work, and people were like, damn, I had a pretty good little Twitter follow going.
I'm like the worst at Twitter, so congrats to you. I would love to be kicked out of Twitter, because I don't know what I'm doing there anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, so that sucked, and I wish I never did that. That would be something I regret, only because I didn't know Twitter was so sensitive. Like the app itself, I guess. Everybody else thought it was fine.
Yeah.
And we're living in an age where you have to be careful about what you say about everything.
You do.
And you do, and rightfully so, but everyone thought it was fine except Twitter. So that's fine, but I know I had to ask, because I know the same thing happened to Alley Cat and other people, and I had to, get advice, like, hey, how do I weave my way around this? So that is where now it is at Bear Bronson BC. My Instagram, you can find me at official_Bronson, which in my opinion is better anyway, because I post way more content there. And Instagram and Twitter are really the only places. My Facebook started as a Bear Bronson Facebook, and it turned into my personal. So
yeah,
that's not important. And you won't find anything there anyway. I'm barely on it.
Nothing on MySpace, Tinder.
Yeah, you can find me on Tinder. Yeah, sure. It is shameful, and I hate it, and I wish I never downloaded it. It sucks. But MySpace.
Yeah, all of those. It's
Yelp.
a new. Yeah. Are wrestlers on Yelp?
I don't know, but I'm on it all the time. So
yeah, we should start that. You guys should get reviewed.
Man, I don't care. I'm going to start reviewing as Bear Bronson. I'm just going to start reviewing places that I like and that I don't like.
What's the best place you've eaten before?
Well, I'm a huge cheeseburger guy.
Okay.
So, oh, man.
You know what? I got a cheeseburger spot. I got a burger spot for you. We'll save this for our next conversation, tell you off there. But thank you so much for joining us here on A Shot of Wrestling. But stick around, brother, because we still got last call.
Thanks, dude. Thank you for having me. And you know what? Bring it on. Hey everyone, thank you for listening to my interview with A Shot of Wrestling. Stay tuned for the end of the episode for last call.
What an amazing conversation we just had here on A Shot of Wrestling with one half of Bear Country, Bear Bronson. I told him after the interview that this interview is going down as one of my top 5 best conversations that I've had here on A Shot of Wrestling. But interviews, they are just part of the conversation and experience here. Mark Schwann and Michael J. Putty host a weekly podcast where they oversee, overlook, overhear, overanalyze everything in the world of professional wrestling. So make sure you check them out everywhere and anywhere you get your podcasts. So for Bear Bronson, Michael J. Putty, Mark Schwann, and the entire Shot of Wrestling squad, remember, if you're ready and willing, I'm able. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I need to announce it's last call at the bar.
All right, everybody, we have made it to the end of the episode, and we're still here with the man, Bear Bronson. It's last call. So first thing that comes to your mind is the first thing you should answer. Bear, are you ready?
You got it, man. I'm ready to go.
And away we go. What is your favorite adult beverage?
Diet Coke. Diet Pepsi, I'm sorry.
All right.
Diet Pepsi.
Other than wrestling, what do you nerd out to?
Xbox. Definitely Xbox. Star Wars.
Who has been your toughest opponent?
Danny Moff.
What iconic wrestler, dead or alive, would you like to tag with?
Kevin Owens.
What is your motto in life?
I'd rather go through life saying, at least I tried and at least I gave it my all, rather than what if.
Hell yeah. What is the worst job you ever had?
Roofing in the middle of the summer on a beach.
Oh, man.
Being on a roof in the middle of August.
That sucks.
Yep.
In your opinion, what is the best sports team in American history?
I'm not even a baseball guy, but I'm definitely going to say probably New York Yankees.
What is the best feature on a woman?
Definitely a sense of humor.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh, Shailene Woodley.
If you can change anything about yourself, what would that be?
I am very confident in myself, but it'd probably be to grow better facial hair.
And finally, what was the best wrestling event you ever been to as a fan?
Wow. Maybe, oh man, maybe WrestleMania 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 31. But you know what, though? It makes me think of, I know this isn't rapid fire, but it makes me think of, I mean, like being there, because I was there for WrestleMania 30 when Taker lost.
Uh-huh.
I was there at WrestleMania 33 when the Hardys came back. So, like, that's so hard to choose. But maybe WrestleMania 31, maybe.
That's a good one. And I'm with you on that. I was there for 30 and for 31, and I didn't think they could top it any other way, but 31 was great, man.
31's great. Yeah.
All right.
It was awesome.
Barry, you've survived last call. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Shot of Wrestling, and I'm sure we'll definitely be seeing you down the road.
Thank you for having me. We've had a lot of fun, man.
Hey, baby, I hear the bell ringing, hip tosses and body slams. Oh, my. And maybe you seem a bit confused, yeah, baby, but I got you pinned. Ha, 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 ha. But I don't know what to do when I see them with that golden case. They're cashing it in. Authority all in my face. What is a man to do? Good night, everybody.